United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that millions facing hunger will pay the price of Russia's decision to withdraw from the Black Sea grain deal. He further added that a related pact between the UN and Moscow to help facilitate Russia's grain and fertilizer exports was also terminated. UN Security Council members on Monday also condemned Russia's decision and expressed concern that price rises will put food out of reach, particularly in poorer nations. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba said that the halt puts many in Africa and several in Asia at risk of facing hunger. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that Russia is weaponizing food with Black Sea grain deal exit, reasoning that it will drive up food prices for the world's hungry. White House said it will continue to work with other countries to enable both Russian and Ukrainian grain to reach the rest of the world. It called for the pact to be restored as quickly as possible. Russian President Vladimir Putin has blamed Ukraine for the attack on the bridge that links Crimea to southern Russia. Putin called the act cruel and senseless as the bridge had not been used for military transportation for a long time. He said his defense ministry is preparing proposals for a response. Ukraine has not officially claimed responsibility, but media reports said that a Ukrainian security services professional had deployed maritime drones. Latin American leaders called for the conclusion of free trade deal talks with the European Union at the EU-CELAC summit in Brussels. More than 50 leaders gathered at the summit. The European Union pledged more investment for Latin America and the Caribbean as part of a revamp of its international relationships, prompted by Russia's war on Ukraine and growing awareness of China. The EU wants to unlock trade deals struck with Mexico in 2018 and with the Mercosur bloc of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay and Uruguay in 2019. But officials have played down expectations of any breakthroughs during the summit. Turkish President Erdogan met Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at Jeddah's Al Salam Palace. Saudi Arabia is Erdogan's first stop in a three-day Gulf tour that includes Qatar and the UAE. The two leaders signed memorandums of understanding on energy, direct investments and defense. Saudi Arabia signed 2 contracts with Turkish defense firm Bekar to buy drones to bolster its defense and manufacturing capabilities. The countries also signed a defense cooperation plan. In India, leaders of 26 opposition parties are set for day 2 of a unity meet in the southern city of Bengaluru. The meeting seeks to finalize the strategy for a united front against the ruling BJP in the upcoming general elections scheduled for next year in India. More than 50 leaders from different parties attended day 1 of the meeting on Monday. Several major leaders are scheduled to attend the meeting today as well, including those who skipped the meeting on day 1. Now, at the same time, the ruling NDA will also hold a meeting of its allies in the national capital. In Peru's capital, Lima, authorities have increased security measures ahead of further expected anti-government protests. President Dina Boluarte is deeply unpopular for failing to have called new elections. He took power in December 2022 following the impeachment of Pedro Castillo. More protests are expected within 2 days. The authorities have erected layers of metal fences around both the Congress and Presidential Palace. 8,000 police officers will be deployed on the city streets in anticipation of up to 4,000 protesters. Previous protests have been violent with deaths of multiple protesters. Visuals that have come in from an Australian beach have stumped people across the world, scientists especially, who are stumped after a giant metal cylinder washed up on Green Head Beach in Western Australia. Now, it has baffled locals and it has triggered speculations all over the internet. Now, these speculations have even led people to believe that this mysterious object that you see on your screens right now, it could be a part of the Indian Space Research Organization's recently launched Chandrayaan-3 lunar mission. Now, the Australian Space Agency believes that the cylinder is likely to have fallen from a foreign space launch vehicle. Islamic Jihad Group says Palestinian security forces have detained 5 more of their members in Jenin overnight. This amid rifts in the West Bank 2 weeks since Israel launched its largest raid there in years. There was no immediate comment from Israel on the reported arrests or from the security forces of the Palestinian Authority, which exercises limited governance in parts of the West Bank. Militant groups have accused the Palestinian Authority of weakness and failing to do enough to stand up to Israel. The city of Jenin and the huge adjoining refugee camp have seen an escalation of violence across the West Bank. Former Chief Minister of the Indian state of Kerala, Oommen Chandy, passed away in the southern city of Bengaluru at the age of 79. The Kerala government has declared a public holiday as a mark of respect to the two-time Chief Minister of the state. Alright, over to some climate updates next. US climate envoy John Kerry is on a 4-day visit to China. Kerry met with his counterpart Xi Jinping for nearly 12 hours at the Beijing hotel on Monday. Kerry's visit marks the resumption of top-level climate diplomacy between the two biggest greenhouse gas emitters in the world. After his 12-hour talk with Xi Jinping, John Kerry met with China's top diplomat Wang Yi. Kerry told Wang he hoped China and US could use climate cooperation to redefine their diplomatic relationship and tackle global warming together. Blazes have burned 1.2 million hectares of forest in the Canadian province of British Columbia so far this year. This is far above the 10-year average of 76,000 hectares. Authorities have requested help from Canadian Armed Forces as well and an additional 1,000 international firefighters to help on ground. Now, this comes after a second firefighter died battling Canada's wildfires. In British Columbia, some 2,000 firefighters, including firefighters from the United States and Mexico, are battling some 373 fires that are raging through. Lack of rain in recent months has left much of the province parched. Officials say is an unprecedented level of drought for this early in the year. Alright, over to some business updates next. Indian stock markets continued their winning run to post another lifetime high today. The Nifty closed the previous day's trading session around 19,700. Today, the index breached the 19,800 mark as foreign investors continue to increase their bets on India. A resilient domestic economy and relatively cheap valuations are helping the bulls stay in control. Morgan Stanley analysts have picked Apple as their top stock for the rest of 2023. The analysts note India will likely be a major driver of Apple's 5-year revenue and installed base growth. The report cites Apple's investment in manufacturing in India and the country's economic boom as a major boost for the Apple stock. The report adds that Indian consumers have the desire and ability to purchase iPhones. But the report also warns that Apple won't be a significant beneficiary if India fails to meet its economic and demographic growth marks. To confront the pressing challenges of climate change head-on, the World Bank President Ajay Banga unveiled a series of bold and innovative proposals. These ambitious reforms aim to stretch the bank's balance sheet and boost lending capabilities. As a former CEO of MasterCard, Banga is no stranger to charting new paths. And now, at the helm of the World Bank, he's taking bold steps to revolutionize the institution's role in combating the climate crisis. But there's more here as well. His plans could see the World Bank lending soar by up to $50 billion over the next decade. An unboxed original first-generation iPhone model has been sold for a price of $158,000. Wrap your head around that. The bidding for the rare 4GB model of the iPhone started at $10,000, but the value just kept on increasing due to the high demand. Notably, the phone was launched at only $499 when it was launched in 2007. And since then, the price has increased by over 300 times. Sealed iPhones in the past have been auctioned for thousands of dollars, with the previous record set at $63,000. Now, there's a new vehicle which has been developed. It's being considered as an all-terrain vehicle, but it is extremely unorthodox in terms of its design and look. Take a look at these visuals and see how the rider is moving past different obstacles on the ground. Now, this is Helsinki-based 18 Wheels, which has unveiled an 18-wheel all-terrain vehicle that glides over rocks and it slides over trunks, which sometimes even cars fail to do. Their prototype is based on a very unique suspension. What's unique is that each wheel is in a suspension system that initiates movement powered by an electric motor. The result is a much smoother ride in comparison to a regular four-wheel all-terrain vehicle. The vehicle has been developed in Finland. Britain's royal Swan census is being held for the first time under King Charles III's reign. It will take place in the west of London on the River Thames. The annual 5-day census, known as Swan upping, is conducted every year in the third week of July to tally swans and in particular their cygnet offspring. Several boatloads of swan uppers clad in red, white or blue jerseys count swans on the river. After a disastrous year due to bird flu, the royals are hopeful that the Thames swan population won't be as affected this year. A jumper worn by late Princess Diana is headed for auction with an estimated price of $80,000. The jumper depicts a black sheep and was designed by the knitwear brand Warm and Wonderful. Diana first wore the sweater in 1981 in the month of June. The black sheep among the white ones is believed to match with then Prince Charles, who was playing a polo game. After it was damaged on the wrist, it was sent back for fixing. A few months later, Diana received a replacement which she was wearing in 1983. Now, the original one was, however, found 40 years later in a box in an attic, which is now being auctioned.